Tēnā koutou te whānau, e mātakitaki mai ana I tēnei kiri ata, I tēnei ata. Ko Kiri rau kaua tōku ingoa, no te whānau ko Puahau, I te taha o tōku māma, nei tōku pepeha. Ko pūtau aki te maunga, ko rangi taiki te awa, ko ngā te awa te iwi, ko pahi poto te hapu, ko kokohino te marae. I te taha o tōku pāpai e rua ngā pepeha, tuatahi, ko rangi paua te maunga, ko hāparapara te awa, ko te whānau apa nui te iwi, ko rūtaia te hapu, ko o tūwhare te marae, ko apirana te whare nui. Te mea tuarua, ko o te nuku te maunga, ko mōtū te awa, ko hikarukutai te hapu, ko marae nui te awa, ko iwarau te whare nui. Nā reira tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora whānau. Ko te mokopuna, ko Jinan ahau. And I have a few pātai today that we'll be discussing. With my reo and your reo. How was it back speaking when you were young?
Oh, pātai pai tērā, Jinan. Now, when we were, I was born in Opotiki, and along with 9 siblings, I was brought up in a little valley called Tōtua, which is between Opotiki and Gisborne, way up in the hills. So we were country bumpkins, and we spent most of our childhood in Tōtua, living on a farm. So our father was a returned serviceman from he was in the 28th Māori Battalion, and our mother was a teacher. So that's a little bit of an explanation about your great-grandparents. I hope to have a little think here. And when I was 7, your great-grandfather, Koro Joe, or my Papa Joe, my father said to me, and probably to the others as well, I'm not going to teach you to speak Māori because you need to be fluent in English in order to get a good job. And at that time, because we were 20 miles from Opotiki, which was where the nearest college was, it wasn't feasible for us to travel daily to Opotiki College. So we were all sent away to boarding school. And it was at boarding school where we had, my 3 sisters and I went to Queen Victoria, Te Kura o Koinei Victoria, and in the first year that I was there, Nanny Margaret was in the 6th form then, and she was the head pre at Queen Victoria. Yeah. So it was there that we learnt Māori with our teacher, who was a teacher called Mrs. Bikiriwhi, who taught us from Te Rangatahi 1 and Te Rangatahi 2. So we learnt Māori there. But we didn't come away fluent with the reo.
Yeah. So that was the first time that Māori was sort of, like the language was introduced in your life?
Yes, because our parents didn't speak Māori to us, and for the reason that I've given. In our occasional visits to Nanny and Koro, Eruera, Manuera and Pareake in Te Teko, they occasionally spoke Māori to us as well, but we didn't really get to learn a lot because we weren't there long enough to be able to pick it up.
Oh, whoa. Was it like when you were at school? Were other people speaking Māori?
Not at Queen Vic. Not unless we were in our classes, in our Māori classes. So we really didn't get to learn the reo at all when we were younger.
It honestly sounds similar to how it was when I was at school.
Yes, I think in our time we were being geared towards passing School C, passing UE, and then going on to choosing a career. But in those days at Queen Vic, our subjects were pretty general, and so when we left school, in our situation, in our particular case, I think we followed our mother, who was a teacher, because 7 of the 9 of us became teachers.
Oh, that's right.
I wanted to follow our father and become a farmer, but that wasn't a thing for girls to do in those days.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So in your schooling, when you came through your schooling, that happened in Auckland, yes?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your, what happened at your school. Did you have Māori at all as a subject?
Well, when I was in year 9 at Pakuranga College, there wasn't a lot of Māori speakers there, and I was surprised that I got Māori of the Year, which was like a big thing. You got a big framed thing with it was just cool. I can't remember what it was, but and then Kiri got Māori of the Year the following year.
That's what I remember that.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Nan, what do you think about the language today? How it's kind of evolving into our pawakawhakata, how nowadays te reo Māori and our culture is actually picking up a bit from those days, because as you were talking, I was reflecting on my mama's story, and her parents said that te reo Māori is not going to get you anywhere, you need to learn te reo Pākehā. So 14 of them didn't go through te reo Māori, but my mum always knew, like, well, why? My Māori, why is there a no? So she still held that with her, and meeting my papa, he was the polar opposite, where at kōrero they'll get hit for speaking Māori, but he'll go home, but the parents will no hoki te reo Māori aha kua te aha, you're just getting pushed and barehead to not identify your Māoritanga. That's all it is. So you have to stay hard. So my parents' meeting were the polar opposites, but my mama loved and was passionate about our culture and passionate about her reo, but she didn't have it. And through their marriage and through their journey, through their life, that's how she learned te reo Māori, and now she's a teacher. So when you are talking about that whakaaro of your parents saying te reo Māori isn't it, you have to learn English. That was the same with my mama, because her English is beautiful. And I think there's only 2 or 3 of her siblings that know how to speak te reo Māori. The rest is really basic te reo Māori, but it was the same kind of story. And my upbringing was that of te reo Māori all the way, but now I'm missing te ao Pākehā in that sense. It's slowly coming with the mahi. But yeah, how do you see the language evolving nowadays?
That's an excellent question, because as you were speaking, I was seeing my mother talking about, as you say, the days that they were at school and they were forbidden to speak the language. And I think the effect that it had on some of them was that with some people, they were still able to be confident with the reo when they grew up. My mother probably, though she spoke Māori, sometimes when I asked her questions, she often would have to think really hard before answering me, and I think to make sure that she was going to answer me correctly. And because for me, what I got to see was when my 3 children, Jinan's mother and her 2 siblings, were babies, kohanga reo hadn't been initiated, hadn't started. And so they had early childhood education, play centre, and kindy, and then went on to a mainstream kura, or mainstream school, because kura kaupapa weren't available then either. And when I went into teaching, I was in the mainstream area, but I wasn't in the general area. I trained in home economics. And so what I got to see at the school that we were in was taha Māori. Yeah. And so now we have auraki and rumaki. Yeah. And so for my particular journey, the last 14 years of my teaching career were spent at the Rotorua Boys High. And in 2002, I was fortunate to be granted a year's study leave. I spent that entire year giving up all my holidays, because that's the way that the program at He Kāinga mo te Reo ran. And so I spent the entire year at He Kāinga mo te Reo in Rotorua and consider that to be the best year of my life, really, because at the end of the year, I was fairly confident to be able to hold a conversation with most people. Maybe a little hesitant with the kaumatua of the time, but my confidence has grown in the reo with the use of it with teaching mokopuna and and just using it where I can these days. So to answer your question, the initiation of the kohanga reo, which has led to I was going to say the large numbers of our communities who are using the reo, but I heard the statistics the other day that it's still only 2% of households that are using the reo, so 2%. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. Really? There still is the threat, I understand, that we could still lose our reo, which is quite alarming. It is still alarming because when we look at the numbers of kura kaupapa graduates, and we look at the number who are in Māori TV, for example, in careers that require the use of the reo, and other maybe through TV or through businesses that people have opened up where they are teaching the reo or using the reo, I think it's wonderful. But when we hear the statistics, I realise that we can't feel comfortable, that we need to do our bit to be promoting the reo, encouraging our whānau to speak the reo. My tuakana and I were fortunate to be blessed to be able to accompany the kohanga from Toroa over to Rarotonga for the last 2 weeks, for the 2 weeks of the holidays, and we were there accompanying Jinan's little sister because his parents weren't able to go with her, so somebody had to. Real imposition. So we were, so we were lucky to be able to go over with them and just to see the babies who have started to speak. Miharo te mātakitaki i a rātou ngā pēpē kōrero Māori ana. Yeah, it's really awesome. So from where I started till today, I think that the development of the teaching of the reo, the promoting of the reo in the different areas, has been really necessary. And it's still necessary for us to keep on promoting. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Right.
I think it definitely does, because it's that same fact of going back to my household. I speak te reo Māori only to our pepe, te ahi manawa. But me and my partner Derek had this conversation, because as soon as we start talking, we switch straight into te reo Pākehā. And I made a decision. I had to ask him and say, we have to try harder in te reo Māori, because we are hypocrites in telling her kaua e wepu te reo Pākehā ki roto i tēnei whare. Don't speak English in this whare. It is a Māori home. But when it comes to us as adults, we're bending that rule, that household rule. And so she's looking at us and she says, mo korua noi ho ne mama, mo korua noi ho te reo Pākehā. And that's what actually pinpointed to me that, no, that's not right. That's not right. If I'm encouraging you to stay and speak te reo Māori, that should be the same for parents, instead of switching straight into te reo Pākehā, because it's faster, it's easier to get across. And so when I mentioned this to her papa and said, hey, te ahi manawa said this to me, and that really triggered me, because I told her that's wrong. And when she said, nā te mea ka kōrero koe i te reo Pākehā, why you speak Pākehā to papa, so why is that wrong? And I had to check myself, and I said, what am I doing? How am I pushing this message across if I want this Māori home? But I just really need to ask Papa a quick pātai, and because I think it's faster and it gets across easier. And so I mentioned this to her papa, and he said, oh man, I don't want to go into te reo Māori because I want to think a little bit more. And I'm like, but but we shouldn't be thinking at all. That's our language. That's our first language. So it's really deconstructing that whakaaro on, because English is faster and easier to understand, but so is te reo Māori. But because we haven't practiced it enough, we're not practicing it within our household only to our pepe, but we need to practice it with each other to make it a household kaupapa. Because as the whānau gets bigger, I don't want the cycle of te reo Māori to break, because we had the same in our upbringing. If they heard any word of te reo Pākehā, my Uncle Alfie was one of them, you're staying in the car, everyone else is going to the pools. That's how strict we were, i awara. And it comes back to the whole whakaaro as well. As I was growing up, my mum said, me noho ki te reo Māori, me noho ki te reo Māori. I went to try it in high school and there was no te reo Māori. Ruatoki had it. As soon as I came into town, no one had it.
Really?
From then, I was like, so where's the value in our reo? If I have my reo, where can I use it? I can only be a teacher, but I don't want to be a teacher because both my parents are teachers, half my whānau's a teacher, my sister's a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher, I want to be something else. Who am I, and where does my reo fit in? And into this ao of mahi that I can celebrate my worth, my value in te reo Māori. And so going through high school, knowing that I have Māori cousins and Māori friends that don't know te reo, I was really kind of confused coming from te wharekura o rātoki noho tūturu ki te reo Māori, ki tō mātou sūhoitana, coming into my Ngāti Awa side, and it's the polar opposite. And I didn't know where I fitted in that āhuatanga. So from there, I kind of got distracted doing what teenagers do, and until I fell pregnant with Te Ahi Manawa, found my purpose. I don't want her to do what I just did in my teenagers years. I know she's going to go through it anyway, but I want to know, make sure that she knows the full value of our language. Because my parents told us, but us as children just go this way. But now as I had my own pepe, I understood what my mama and my papa drilled into us about the value of our reo. Come to Tūmeke FM, and thank you to your papa for giving me the job. Again, it set another tone and another level of the value of my language. I came here knowing just my reo. Didn't know machinery, didn't know radio, didn't know the other side. But now being here, man, I just feel rich because of my reo. Yeah. Now I have another job at Awanuiarangi, no degree, no nothing, just my reo. Yeah. And now I'm seeing, man, this is what my parents always said, like that whakaaro, listen to your parents. I was like, man, I had to apologise to my mum as soon as my pepe was born. I'm like, man, mum, you're so right. I just didn't listen, I just thought, you don't know how the world works nowadays, but really it's the same kind of values that we have to carry through. And then she told me her story about her parents and her whānau, and I was like, wow, that's pretty hard, because you look at what's happening in the world and what's happening to Māori nowadays, and people say, Māori, these stereotypes, this and that, but I'm like, but that's through oppression, that's through colonisation, that's through telling them they can't speak their language, they can't do this. What do they have left? And then you have all these things coming, drugs, alcohol, all of these things to kind of fill that void of lost identity in a sense. So that's where I've figured out that certain Māoris are in this category not because they chose to, but because they didn't know where to go, and that's through their parents and their parents and their parents. So it's been a history, a whakapapa line where Māori are in this place because it's not our fault. We didn't choose to do this, but we didn't know any better as well. So ka mihi. I felt that was awesome kōrero, because it is true. We can get comfortable, like, the reo Māori is actually, it's pretty cool. We're seeing it a little bit more. I used to notice, I was 8 years old watching the news, and I asked my parents, I was like, I roto i te reo Māori, hahai ke te māta ki koe i te karere, One News at the time, and this is a Māori house, but you're watching something in Pākehā. Where's their kia ora? Where's the mihi or anything in there? And there was nothing at the time, and I remember it on the Weatherman, and Papa just says, as you get older, you're going to realise that there's only this much of people that really understand the value of te reo. So, and then I was still confused, like, where do I fit in? Where does this all fit in? If they're not doing it on TV, people aren't doing it in school, what's the answer? And now I'm old, I'm like, oh, well, this is the answer. You have to do your bit. You have to do your bit to help fill that 1% to turn it into 100%, to turn it into, hopefully, I think, was it 2020 or 2050? Te Māngai Pāho wants to turn people into 1 million speakers of te reo Māori, I think, something like that. So, yeah, tautoko i o kōrero. Anyway, that's not about me. Haere tonu. Yeah.
You know, and I've always, for a long time, I admired tūhoi, because I always thought that no matter what was happening in the rest of the world, tūhoi were maintaining their tūhoitanga, and nobody was going to tell tūhoi what they were to do. And I think now that everywhere around Aotearoa, we all kind of, on me anyway, kind of wish that Ngāti Awa had done the same thing. Because there was a point at which, when Māori TV started, all the positions were taken up by tūhoi, because they had maintained the reo. And of course that's changed now with kura, like Hoani Waititi and Marae Nui and all the kura, Rako Mangamanga, and all the kura kaupapa, that is now changing. And all the kohanga reo, we now, can feel reasonably comfortable that, it's going to keep on growing.
Right.
The problem area is for adults or young people such as Jinan, who have missed that. And when I think about some of the conversations I've had recently with people who want to learn the reo, and who say that they've attended classes, but it's kind of above them. It just goes. And I said, well, I was speaking to somebody the other day in Opotiki, and they attended a class, and it was just too much. It was above them. I said, did you give the feedback to the kaiako? They said yes, but that kaiako was still not able to engage them in a way where they could pick up the reo. So they then fell out of that class and have been looking for others that they could join. So with my own experience with he kāinga mo te reo and learning via ātārangi, I push for that, because I found it so easy to learn by that method. But so you're going to be picking it up sometime. I heard you saying that before, that you really still want to get back into learning.
I want to make it my priority, because that's like our language.
So you have options here, like Awanuiarangi, to go back to, and
I guess it's just the maintaining it, and like trying to speak it with all the Māori people that I know, trying to speak it at home with my siblings, and just keep on.
And that's the difficult part, because there's not much options out there to help you practice that. So it's like you and yourself trying to do your part and fill that void. But it'll be the same if I didn't work here. Well, even though te reo Māori was my first language, will it still be as strong? Because I'm speaking te reo Māori every single day, I'm getting stronger and stronger. And it's just because I can use it. If I worked somewhere else where I didn't use it, well, home will be the only place I can. And that's only a part of the 24 hours of the day.
Tika koe, when you're using it on a regular basis, you will get stronger. So for you and others like you who are wanting to learn it, it is about being able to get into situations where you can. And because with your siblings, they don't always, at home, they don't always, kaere rātou e kōrero i te reo i ngā wā katoa. And sometimes even when I speak to them in Māori, they'll answer me in English, and in English, and it's about getting them to
maintain
that,
conversation.
And to just get into that routine with it. So, so hopefully you're going to be able to. Sometimes I speak to you too, don't I?
I guess because sometimes I hit a barrier where I'm like, I don't actually know that word.
And the good thing today about our technology is that you can go into your phone,
And find it.
Māori dictionary online.
You're right about that one, Nan.
Aye.
Yeah.
But it's also in the Te Pīnakitanga ki te reo kairangi, level 7 e te whare wānanga o Aotearoa, and Whaiaroka, our teacher, she actually says we need to stop when we look at te reo Māori, and we look at of someone speaking to us in te reo Māori, we have to stop translating that into te reo Pākehā to then translate it back into te reo Māori. As you're in your mind, you just, as soon as they start thinking and start talking, you think of what you think, you feel what they're saying. Don't just go, oh, yeah, in Pākehā, and then have to reply back because you had to translate it into te reo Māori. And I didn't get it. At first. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, okay, what does this mean? And we all went silent and started thinking, there, you're translating it into te reo Pākehā, and then you're going to find the answer to come back into te reo Māori, but you've done that in that Western whakaaro, where you should just grab it, what you just read in te reo Māori. The first thing you thought about, as soon as you saw it, you read it, that's the answer. Don't translate it into te reo Pākehā and bring it back into te reo Māori. Just grab it for its own mana, its own tikana that you felt within our language.
That applies to a lot, doesn't it? And you're right, because when I left Queen Vic and when at times when I thought about how I really would like to learn my reo, I sometimes wondered, why was I born Māori? Because where we were brought up was really a Pākehā world, and in our farming district it was a Pākehā world, and then going off to boarding school, basically it was a Pākehā world, and because that's the way the result of colonisation and gearing us towards being able to continue in under that system. And so when I did hear that phrase, don't think in English, think in Māori. But at that point, I hadn't learnt any Māori, so I really didn't understand what it meant and how I could get into that mode of thinking in Māori when I really had no knowledge really of the reo at that time. And so, yes, I can relate to that, and I can see how it can be hard for new ones, for young people coming into learning the reo, to be able to think Māori, but not to be able to think Māori, but to actually understand what that concept is.
Kia ora.
Yeah.
Aye.
That's the thing, to understand what that concept is. Yeah.
Because our reo changes, and it's been evolving for many years, where, our waiata klaua, our waiata tawhito, every kupu in there, it's not straight up and down as you see it today. It's metaphoric, it's poetic. So you have to really dig deep and say, what do they really mean? So nowadays, te reo Māori has changed where it's just like you come out with it, well, you kind of understand straight up and down. There's no mysteriousness behind the kōrero anymore. And I miss that certain language of poetic, of mysterious, in a mysterious way where it's like kind of coding in a sense, like with e koe kumara tēnei te whare moi ai koe. Yes, it kind of sounds plain, but when you dig deeper, there's more to it. E pātō reo ki te taira, whiti pā kato ai te aroha mōu. Pine te kura. All these certain mō te waiata klaua, there's a poetic side to it that we're not really seen much of these days, and it's going to keep evolving, but I don't want us to lose out on this unique side of us, like kapahaka. And that's what I love about kapahaka, is that you not only you learn history about the marae, the hapu that you're performing for, but you also learn the unique poetic style that Māori have, because we are entertainers and we are creators. So that's what I love about kapahaka, is that you have this package of the language, of history, of whakapapa and of reo, all combined into one, and of entertaining, and that's for Māori. But I also have to reflect on te taha Pākehā. My last name Black is Scotland, so, and it's also because of that colonisation, that oppression, our taha Pākehā, we don't see the value within that, because we were one of the last motu to be colonised. So our ancestors coming from Tāwāhi, Ingarangi, what was their whakapapa like? So it's also kind of we see Māori this way, and we appreciate, we want to elevate that side as well, but there's also this Pākehā side, and we only see what we know, which is colonisation, which is oppression, which is all these things that we already have. Ka pahaka te ao Māori, it's not a day-to-day thing. So, like Ngāti Awa Te Toki, we celebrate that by doing ka pahaka. Whereas our Pākehā culture, what is it? What is our culture? Now, that's an answer that I need to find out. What makes my Scottish heritage, my Pākehā side, as meaningful as my Māori side? Because at the end of the day, without that side, will I be born? So it's acknowledging both sides.
Right.
So that's what I say at Te Wharewananga o Awanuiarangi when I'm teaching the DHB. They're like, oh man, I need to learn this. I'm like, before learning te reo, maybe actually learning your own heritage of your own whakapapa, then that'll help you understand what this means for te ao Māori as well. Whakapapa, history, connection.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the language. I always think the language is the icing on the cake. I just think to know who you are. You know, if you can be at the marae and you know what to do, but you don't have the reo, I find I respect them a lot more. Instead of just coming in with the reo but don't know the manaakitanga side, the tikanga side to it as well. But yeah, for me personally, it's like I always looked at my Pākehā side as a negative side. But now it's like, well, why can't I honour both? You know, surely these rich heritage in that way and that whakapapa that I haven't tapped into, how far back does it go? Do I have any other whānau that are blacks? Anything like that? So yeah, the language is one thing that we love and the one thing that connects us, but also whakapapa on both ends is another side to that as well.
So so you're right. While I have that sense of regret, a sense of regret when I think about what my father said, you know, that I'm not going to teach you to speak Māori because you need to be fluent in English. Being that way did achieve what he wanted, and so that we all went off to boarding school. By the time I went to boarding school, I had 3 siblings above me who had gone ahead of me, and they had set the pattern. They had passed their school C, they had passed their UE, and they had then moved off into careers, and so I wasn't going to break that cycle, and so in that respect, being geared for the Pākehā world did mean that we got into teaching, we got into careers where we were able to work towards developing whatever success we wanted to in those in the different schools that we all became involved in, or the different areas of education that we were involved in. And I put it that way because there are still my tuakana who is at Awanuiarangi training teachers, and so she developed her education in that way. The brother just below her is a resource teacher of Māori, and so he moves around advising in whatever area he's required to or it's needed. And I'm actually retired from teaching and just do it in a free flow kind of way with the mokopuna. But those who are involved in education still are forging their way and in the ways that they feel comfortable and are wanting to develop their success in. So we can be grateful for having come through the Pākehā system. Yeah. But along the way, we've also wanted to then complete ourselves, I suppose, really. Complete ourselves.
Aye.
Because there's up until learning the reo, there was a gap. Yeah. There was something missing that in my being. It was I'm not complete, and I think that's why I really regard 2002 as the most important year of my life, because it was working towards completion. Yeah, as a person, and so that's what I really appreciate about your 3 siblings being at Te Orini, Te Kura o Te Orini, and appreciate about you now needing to, go back and pick up again where you left off, with the reo. So
I appreciate your knowledge, Nan. Like, I was walking with Taya Jean, and we're walking, and she, like, because she can speak a little bit of Māori now, but her Pākehā is real good as well. Like, like, we were walking, and she's like, look, it's a deciduous tree. And I was like, what did you say, Taya Jean? I don't know. It's a deciduous tree. Where did you learn that? Like, oh, Nanny told me.
we used to. I was Taya Jean's companion from when she was 4 months, and so we spent a lot of time together. And we lived up at a Penzell Drive then, and we used to every morning we would walk down, go for a walk, and because she was in her pram, and so she'd sit up, and wherever we went, I would just talk about all the things that we passed, but. It never occurred to me to speak to her in Māori. And so I just knew that it was important to speak. From the time that I became associated with her, at 4 months, even at 4 months, I knew it was important just to speak normally. And so I did. I just talked about anything and everything. Read the newspaper to her, talked about the weather, just everything and anything, just a continual flow of conversation. Because I read a book that I recommend, even though it's an English book, a book called The Baby Whisperer. And it's through that book that my second chance at parenthood, I was really able to maximise on the information from this book called The Baby Whisperer. And it talks about things like when you've got a newborn baby, when you go take the baby into the home. Well, we know when I had Mariah, and I lived with my nanny and kōrero then, and my nanny came with my husband to pick me up, their grandfather to pick me up. When we arrived home, she took the baby from me and put her to ngā haue whā. And so, that was a point at which I was starting to learn, because prior to that, I'd been living in Auckland at training college, but we came down and visited them, the result of which we ended up living with them. So that's where I started to have my education in our culture and our tikanga. Unfortunate it was to be short-lived. But so I was talking about Mariah. I've actually lost track now what I was talking about.
Mariah, so the continuous, you came from the puka, the continuous flow of conversation.
Yeah, and this book talks about taking the baby into the home and going into every room and talking to the baby about ko tēnei te kauta, I Koinei, ka tunu kaima, tātou, and in every room, just talking to the baby about what happens in the room. And this is a newborn baby, and when you're reading about doing this, you're thinking, wow, that's quite strange. It's quite a strange concept to think about, to have these conversations with a newborn baby. But in the book, it talks about the millions of cells within the baby's brain, and that they are completely absorbent. And so whatever we talk to them about from birth, they're absorbing. But we know this too from the Māori side of things, the ori and that we sing while the baby is in the womb. And they're absorbing it all. They come out
singing.
Yes, and they're absorbing it all. But that's not an education that we had when I was a young mother. And so with Taya Jean, I was able to do that, but it just didn't occur to me to speak to her in the reo. And so yes, she was very fluent when she started speaking. A number of adults who came into contact with her were blown away by her conversational skills as a toddler. And then from there she went to Montessori, where she then, and I loved the Montessori concept. I really would love to see that Montessori concept in our kohanga reo, so that we have the reo along with those principles of the Montessori.
Confidence.
Yes.
Independence.
Yes.
Aye.
And they choose their learning and the activities, what they learn from, that they learn everything from the activities. The teachers just simply sit back and watch and only become involved with them when they need to, because they're actually learning from the activities, but they carry out conversations with the teachers. And my ideal would be a kohanga reo based, that carries out those same principles. Not that I'm saying that the kohanga reo aren't valuable. They are valuable because they have the reo, but I think that can be enhanced with the learning, because from the Montessori experience, Jean just became even more independent than what she was. She was confident, but she was independent, and just everything that I was doing, she'd want to come and help, and so I just let her help, and then she would do it in her way, and it's just great in their development. So, and so that's the only thing that I see that there is an advantage that the Montessori have over the kohanga reo. It's just those activities that are designed to teach them their different skills. Having said that, though, Jean was only at tōrua kohanga for about 6 months fully, and she had no prior reo, really. But in the 6 months with her kaiako whaia misi, when she went to Te Orene, she had a really good grasp of the reo.
She did, eh?
She did,
That's it.
It was awesome. So had she been at tōrua from the time that she was a baby, which is what kohanga reo do now, then she would have been proficient in her language in the reo when she went to Te Orene. But we kind of, the Montessori, the fact that she developed the skills from the Montessori kind of makes up for that, because she's learning the reo now.
But for me personally, when she comes into our mahi, she's confident, and I think that's a bit of a piece that our tamariki do miss. You know, us growing up, we're just a little bit shy, not so independent because of, our parents will have us, but that's what I like about the Montessori as well, because I've been thinking about it with Ahi, because she's a bit whakamā, and I want her, because she's going to Ruatoki, she needs to hold her own, so I want her to go that she understands her Māoritanga, but she's confident and independent with it. She doesn't have to wait around for someone to go, ai, or kao. If she wants to try it, let her try it. Ai. And I think that's what I love about the Montessori as well, in that aspect where it's allowing the kids to figure it out themselves. See, nowadays, my mum helped me to get the job. I wouldn't dare ring up to the doctors even to book me an appointment, because I'm like, oh man, what are they going to think of me? What is this? What is that? And I was so young. Why should I even be thinking like that? So now with this mahi and having to interview other people, well, you kind of have to have your own confidence and independence to get the job done, to do the mahi. So I feel with the Montessori side, if they collaborated in a sense, kohana reo Montessori, just to give our tamariki that independence. Because, even at the marae, or even us as parents, we tell our tamariki, ki te hoi hoi, noho puku, that's already diminishing their confidence. So when they're old and teenagers and you ask them, hey, sing a song, and they go, no. Then they go, oh, why not? Why? Oh, no, that's naughty, you're not listening. But really, you've told them to hoi hoi, noho puku, all these years, and all of a sudden you want them to shine, to do their thing. But they won't, because they've only known this way. And they've only known from permission or from certain things, but it becomes a give or take in a sense. And that's my experience as well. I was like, well, where? And now I'm just like, if Ahi, as much as I don't like tamariki walking on the table, but if she needs to express herself in a certain way, let her have it. I'm not going to tell her to shush in the cafe. I don't tell tamariki, oh, hoi hoi ata hikoi, because they don't understand what adults understand. They're just expressing themselves in a certain way. Yeah, you just let them flow with that, and you as an adult should just understand that that's a tamariki, and they just want to know everything about the ao. They're like sponges. Yeah,
totally, and we can capture back by just spending the time with them. I mean, I do with Jean, and you might have had conversations with Marae, because your philosophy sound a lot similar to hers, where she has encouraged all her children to be freely express themselves, which, as you say, is different from our days, where we may not have had it so much where we were brought up with the be seen and not heard. And we may not have had it so much in our situation, but I understand that there are some home situations where that still exists, which is rather sad for the development of the children. On the other hand, with the little dods, it is about allowing them to express themselves freely so that they can develop their creativity, and that's what I really admire about Maraia's philosophies in that respect. And then from the nanny point of view, then my part that I can play is in monitoring to also let them learn to acknowledge that there are boundaries though, that there are boundaries that we need to be mindful of, and but to try to teach that without actually squashing that, the development of that spontaneity and freedom to express and freedom to be creative. So, I mean, in your situation where you may hear, Jinan, you need to get a good job. Okay, so we had that when we were children, but you're hearing that now, you need to get a job. But you're finding your way with the things that you're passionate about, your music and your art. And so looking at using those to take you into a career of your choosing, where you are completely in control. And so it's that kind of encouragement and support. I think that's important today, with our young people like yourself, because so many people are doing things that they don't want to be doing.
Nā reira, hei whakamutu ake i ngā kōrero, because it has been a good kōrero, and I think we should do it again. Hoki mai anō, he kōrero anō, because whaia, Nanny, you have a lot of experience and a lot of kōrero that will not only help mokopuna, but I'm sitting here going, man, whoa, you know, and I'm reflecting on all the kōrero that you're sharing and relating it back to the values of my mama and my parents and my nanny, and it's the same thing, you know, it doesn't change. And I'm just seeing myself in your guys' eyes and appreciating where we are today. We have a good life, and now it's up to us to carry on doing our part to feel that. Ahakoa, you know, you may have missed out on certain areas. My mum missed out on certain areas, even my dad. There's still areas that we can help fill that for the next generation. So, ka mihi kia kōrua, thank you for coming in, and ki tēnei o ngā wahanga te Kaumatua Kapu Tī to celebrate, and brought to you by Blueberry Corner, ngā mihi kia Blueberry Corner. Engari, te makere o ngā kōrero, o tira te hoki o ngā kōrero, nei kōrero e hono nei ki wā tātou whakapapa, e hono nei ki tō tātou nei reo rangatira. O tira ki te ao huri e noho nei tātou. Wēnei pito kōrero hei whakaki ki roto i te kete o tōu whānau, o tira hei whakaara, hei whakaohoho i te whakaaro hoki ki roto i tēnā o tātou te iwi Māori. So not only you guys are talking about the experiences within your whānau and within your life, but I feel that I've learnt a lot today. And the thing for me is actually learning to appreciate where I am, because I think the world is moving so fast. We're pressured to have the good job. We're pressured to do all these things. But now, why not just slow it right back down and appreciate that we didn't have to go through the things that you guys have to go through. We have it now. And now it's time to just tap in to those certain things and really see what's lighting our fire, whether it's music, art. How am I going to use that? So, ngā mihi, ini pito kōrero ki te whakamutu i tēnei.
Tēnei te mihi ki a koe. Nau i tono pia, kia māua, ki te hara mai ki te kōrero ki a koe. He pai tēnei wahanga ki a hau, ki te hoki aku mahara ki ngā rā o mua. Ia hau e tupu ana, When I think back, there's so much that you are right. In, dare I say, 66 years, one does learn a lot. And it wasn't that long ago that we were saying, my gosh, with what we know now, it'd be great to go back to your age.
Aye.
Aye. 66 and you're still a youngster.
Aye, yes, that is young. And still a lot more that I'd like to be doing in life. And yes, and one thing that probably would be nice to talk about too at some time is that why are we here? And we are here to serve. And so there are different phases in life that we go through.
Yeah.
So there's actually lots of kōrero that you can have about this.
Kia ora, ai.
Engari mo tēnei wā, tēnei te mihi nui ki a koe.
Kia ora.
Thank you for having us, Annie.
Kia ora.